Live on.
Next stop, Sherry.
The next couple of hours on the show. Obviously, the top headline of the day is the weather quality, the smoke blowing in from those Canadian wildfires. Take a look outside. That is from our shed camera. That is just along the lakefront. There's a time lapse available that I'm sure we have on fox32chicago.com, where you can see this is just a couple of blocks away. The Bean over at, you can see a little bit of the haze there. I can actually see not too far from the Bean right outside of our studio window right now, and you can just barely see the buildings along Millennium Park because of the smoke. Let's take a look at New York. That's the one that I think is take a look at that. That is a live image. Of course, the New York skyline. You see the Empire State Building in the distance. That's not too far. If you look at that tall building on the left, that's pretty close to Central Park. I mean, obviously, they're a little bit further east, a little bit further north. And then you've got that serious haze, that smoke coming in from the Canadian wildfires. We're going to be talking with an emergency room doctor over at Endeavor Health. And we're going to get an update on people coming into the ER and what they can expect, and what you need to know to get ready for to deal with this all day long. Let's also take a look. They have weather going on around the city as well. This is actually going to be down in Texas. This is in Kerrville. We've been talking a lot about some of the weather in Texas lately. This is not too far past the 1 year anniversary of the horrible floods that came in through hill country around in the Austin area in Texas just about a year ago, which claimed a lot of lives, and now they're experiencing a lot of heavy rainfall. There's a lot of rainfall, I think, out of Uvalde yesterday. That's our live image coming out of Kerrville right now. So that is a lot going on in Texas right now. So whether it is some of the smoke that is infiltrating northern U.S., serious totals of rainfall, a lot of inches in the hill country around Texas. There's a lot going on. Other stories we're going to be covering throughout the next couple of hours on Chicago Live. This is a headline that I really can't wait to get to the bottom of. We're going to be talking with someone at the Adler Planetarium about the fact that they have found sugar in space. They have found actual sugar in space. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I do know that it sounds really interesting, and I'm very excited to talk with someone about that and find out exactly what that means. And we're also going to be talking with the one local movie theater in our area that is actually showing the Odyssey truly the way it was meant to be seen. There's only 25 theaters in the country that have the ability to show the Odyssey in 70 millimeter IMAX, and only one of them is in our area. And we're going to talk with the folks over at that theater and just kind of explain the difference between that theater and the other theatrical experiences if you see it anywhere else around the city of Chicago. But let's get to the top story of the day, which, like I said, is the smoke blowing into our area from those Canadian wildfires. We're going to talk with Dr. Jeremy Smiley, who's an emergency room doctor over at Endeavor Health. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
You know what? I mean, I'd imagine it's been a busy day for you guys. Are you seeing a pretty heavy influx of people coming in and dealing with the repercussions of some of this smoke coming in?
We definitely are. It's one of those days where you never really know what's going to come in, but as the ambulances are coming into the hospital, a lot of this is respiratory, and we're seeing both folks who are affected from a respiratory perspective as well as cardiovascular perspective. Things like asthma, things like COPD, and just that's on top of the general population that's coming into our departments.
How does someone know? Because obviously everyone's, I see people walking around downtown right now. Some people have to walk to work. Some people have to, walk to their car. What is the difference between normal agitation, normal, repercussions of dealing with this smoke versus, oh no, the symptoms I'm experiencing are actually worth going in to an emergency room for?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and it's a spectrum. So, in a normal day to day, for example, you mentioned the irritants. So, normal folks walking around, their eyes probably are not bothered by the pollution, but as the heat builds up, we're seeing an increased level of ozone from the ground. We're seeing also the effect that when it gets really hot, it's difficult for that to disperse and kind of clean up those airs. So it's the kind of the perfect combination of the really high heat plus all the pollutants from the wildfires that are coming down and having an adverse effect on multiple body systems.
I remember the last time I believe the city of Chicago was dealing with something like this, when our area was dealing with something like this. I heard it put in like an equitable sense to an amount of cigarettes that you were actually taking in. Obviously, a lot of us don't smoke, but they said it's the equivalent of smoking X number. I mean, is that a way to equate the sort of smoke inhalation that we're taking in?
I don't know exactly how you would equate like an index to number of cigarettes, but the effects is very similar. So, and the guidance is very similar. So, when you're exposed to a environment outside like we have already, the guidance is really to get inside, to turn on the air conditioner, to turn on the HEPA filter, and to really avoid anything that would cause an increase in the particle matter that's in your home. So things like even frying pans. So when you fry an egg or you're cooking vegetables, that creates particles in the air. Same with smoking, same with vaping. I mean, whether it's good weather or bad weather outside, you should never really smoke. But especially on a day like today, when there's already such a high amount of particle matter in the atmosphere, in the air that we're breathing in, very important to get inside and get into a filtered environment. The other thing that's important is just recycle the air. So if you're in the car, doing things like pushing the recirculation mode, so you're not constantly getting exposed to outdoor air. These are some of the basic precautions you could take to get yourself into a little bit better health on days like today.
To kind of expand on that, anytime it's a situation like this or really horrible weather we have coming in, we always kind of use that expression of, if you don't have to be out, don't be out. But if you do have to be out, here are the precautions you need to take. There are a lot of people out there who have to work outside, who have no choice but to be outside today. Staying inside and trying to remove yourself from this is just not going to be an option. So if you're one of those people today, or maybe even the next couple of days, or meteorologists have said that hopefully it'll be lesser tomorrow, but by no means completely gone, what advice do you have for people who are looking at long-term stretches of exposing themselves to this kind of smoke today?
So I think that if at all possible, better to choose to not be in that environment. But if you have to, this is when you probably want to dust off the N95 mask you might have stockpiled from COVID, because it's this type of mask and respirator that is important to protect your lungs from the really poor air quality. Basic cloth mask or a non-N95 type of mask just won't reduce that degree of exposure. So when at all possible, limit the amount that you are exposed. But if you have to, wearing those types of protection like the N95 will help reduce the amount that gets into your lungs. But it's also a balance, because it's hot outside and it's also difficult to breathe through those masks, especially when it's so hot outside already.
And doctor, it also brings up that definition of the term "have to." There are some people who have to do it, who have to be outside in this because it's their job, and they're not going to be able to cash a paycheck unless they go out and do whatever it is they have to do and be outside. And then there are going to be some people that say, well, I have to go for a run today. I have to. I just got a new convertible. I have to put the top down. I just gotta, I gotta train for a marathon. I gotta get on my bike. I gotta try out this new bike. And I think it's also important to remember what the term "have to be outside" actually means.
Right. And today is not the day to show off that convertible. Today's the day to put on your air conditioner. There'll be plenty of days you could show off the vehicle. If you're a runner, today's the day. Go inside on the treadmill because it's just not going to be worth it. You don't have to do that. And so why take on the risk? Even if you don't have asthma, even if you don't have COPD or heart disease, it's still, when you're at a quality index that's over 400, the general public isn't really going to feel really good exercising outside. I have a couple of dogs, and the animals know best sometimes, and they turned around after half a block. So don't force the long walks on your pets either, because it's just better days to be outside.
Well, it's always like that, when it comes to your pets. It was always like that rule of thumb where it's like, if it's too hot for you to put your hand on the concrete, it's too hot for your dog's paws to be on the concrete. You could say the same thing with air quality. If it's not great air quality for you, it's probably not great air quality for your pets as well, I'd imagine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the people who are coming in to the ER and seeking treatment because of whatever it is that they're feeling as a result of the smoke, how do you guys go about treating them?
So it depends on their underlying condition. If someone has asthma, it really gets treated like an asthma exacerbation. If someone has COPD, almost pretty much the same as a normal COPD. The susceptibility of severity is just a little bit more. So if you have asthma, you might be more prone to an exacerbation because the particle matter is just irritating. It's just that's why our eyes are bothered, our throats are bothered. It causes inflammation, and it's an irritant. And so the same applies to the lungs, same applies to other body systems. So again, just limiting the exposure to this will help anyone, whether you have these conditions or not.
And I would imagine any of the symptoms that are possible for an adult are also going to be possible for a child, if not more so. Are there more serious precautions or different precautions that we can be taking for our children, more so than maybe even we're taking for ourselves?
Yeah. It's tough to keep a child indoors, especially on a nice summer day. But there's times of the day that are going to be better. So at midday, when it's peak heat, this is also when the quality of the air is worse. So maybe go outside for the stroller walk earlier in the morning or later in the evening. If you have softball practice, baseball practice, if you play sports, maybe delay the practice, maybe push it later in the day, because you'll be better off and your lungs will be better off if you wait until the evening than go midday.
I want to talk about sort of what you're feeling in regards to, obviously this is a very popular story that we're talking about today because it is the primary story, but are there other circumstances that sometimes people deal with air quality that maybe we're not recognizing as big of a deal as something as wildfire smoke blowing in? But are there days coming in where you guys can, just based on the people that are coming into your ER, that you can tell, oh, there's clearly something in the air happening today?
Yeah, I mean, today it looked like we were in like a bizarre show almost. So you could kind of predict just looking outside that it was going to be probably more of a respiratory day. But yeah, I think that sometimes the weather really does dictate. The icy, on icy days, we're definitely going to see more motor vehicle collisions from slips and falls. We're going to see more hip injuries, and certainly on days like today, we would expect an increase in heat-related illness and respiratory illness.
Dr. Jeremy Smiley, I know you have a lot going on right now. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes to chat with us about this. This was very valuable information, and I'll let you get back to work. We appreciate your time.
All right. Great. Thanks for having me.
Take care,
Take care.
All right, guys. Chicago Live rolls on just about 1:15. We'll be right back. Just about 1:17 on Chicago Live. Welcome back. This is a headline that I saw a little bit earlier today and immediately had 10,000 questions about what it means exactly. I hope you find it as interesting as I do. Astronomers detect sugar in interstellar space for the very first time. We're going to talk with some of our friends over at the Adler Planetarium. Mike Zevin, astrophysicist, friend of the show. Always good to chat with you, Mike. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. I'm just going to start out with a big question, which is, what do you mean they found sugar in space?
It's like it sounds. There are these complex molecules that form in space. These are formed in these cold, dense clouds of dust that we call molecular clouds. Very different from the clouds that we were just talking about here in Chicago. But these are kind of chemical pots that can form potentially these more complex molecules that might be important for life in the universe, life here on Earth. So this detection is one that was able to kind of pinpoint a specific type of sugar. And this is the first time that we found sugar in interstellar space. We found it on asteroids, for example, in our solar system, but this is an indication that this stuff can form naturally just out there in the cosmos.
What I'm reading is that you didn't just find any sugar, you found a natural sugar that is found in raspberries?
Yeah, so there's a bit of it in raspberries. It's in some bronzing suntan lotion as well. But there's not a big bushel of raspberries floating around in this cloud. It's just the sugar that is embedded inside of these kinds of things.
Mike, I can't imagine this is necessarily, or maybe it is. I don't know. Is this something you guys were looking for, or did you just stumble across it? And if so, how did you know what it was that you found?
Right. So the team that found it, essentially all atoms and molecules, they have kind of a fingerprint that they leave within light. And we use a technique called spectroscopy, which is essentially taking light from our telescopes, breaking it up into all the rainbow of colors, and looking for these specific fingerprints that match the fingerprints of atoms or molecules that we've tested in labs here on Earth. So this was, I would say it's, not a surprising find because we have life here on Earth. We know these things need to form somehow out there in space, but it's an exciting find. Indeed, it is.
So was it a situation where you guys always assumed it was out there, but now we've just actually found it?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, we found indications of sugars on asteroids here in our solar system, right. But then you can ask the question of, where did those asteroids get those sugars? And these sugars we know are really important for lots of processes within life, for energy storage, but also for building the backbones of things like DNA and RNA, which are, the crucial things for our genetic makeup and delivering instructions to our body. So it's kind of putting together another piece of this puzzle of how life actually came to be and what processes in the universe caused these complex molecules to form and pollute our planet Earth billions of years ago.
Well, then to your point, because I love this concept of answering one question can kind of cause you to ask 10,000 more. What does this mean? Like you said, you guys have found this before on these asteroids, and yeah, then you can start asking, well, how far were those traveling before it even started to pick that up? So what does it imply to you if there's sugar out there?
I think it's just amazing that these environments can trigger these chemical reactions to make these complex molecules. So, I mean, for this particular sugar, there are, let me count, 16 different atoms that have to organize themselves in this really particular way and bond together in this particular way to make this one particular kind of sugar that they found. Now, we have more and more evidence that these kinds of complex molecules can form out there in the universe just naturally. We still don't know, like you were saying, it's opening more questions as well. We still don't know how all of these building blocks of life can come together and start to metabolize energy and synthesize energy, which is really what we, scientifically consider the start of something being alive. So these are finding more and more kind of Lego pieces to this big puzzle, and slowly we're putting them together to hopefully answer some of the world's most big questions out there.
So what I'm reading here, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding it right, it says scientists have long wondered how sugar molecules first formed on Earth, lab experiments have shown that they do not form easily under the extreme conditions thought to exist in the earliest chapter of Earth's history. Does that stand to reason that we don't actually know how sugar was formed here on Earth, or is it entirely possible? You mentioned sort of the asteroids, us finding on the asteroids that it could have landed here from an asteroid. Is that me taking it a step too far?
Not at all. No, this is one of the big ideas, that many of the complex molecules that we have here on Earth, and even the water that we have here on Earth, wasn't there at the very beginning of our planet's creation. The conditions might have been just too crazy for those things to actually form. But with discoveries like this, we can see that they form naturally in space, and it's not a hospitable environment either. These molecular clouds are something like negative 250 degrees Celsius. So they're like really, really cold, diffuse clouds out there in space, but can still trigger these chemical reactions. So just like you were hinting at, the idea is that even if Earth didn't have the conditions in its early times to form these sugars, we could have been rained down by asteroids and comets that were polluted from these gas clouds out in space that were forming these things naturally.
I'm going back and just loving this idea of like we get this little piece of information, and in the best way possible, what it does is start making us ask 10,000 more questions. So for you personally, whenever you sort of were reading this and kind of like found out some of the information, what were some of the questions you immediately started asking yourself?
Yeah, I guess some of the questions is, what other kind of these complex molecules are we actually able to detect with our technology? So like I was saying, these molecules have distinct fingerprints associated with them, but the more complex the molecule gets, the more complicated that fingerprint gets either. So it's a difficult thing to be able to kind of pinpoint these individual signs from a very particular molecule, in this case, a sugar that lives in raspberries, and be able to confidently say that we found that in interstellar space.
It's really incredible. The more and more you think about it, it kind of just blows the mind. What is, in terms of everything that we're looking for out there, like this is obviously incredible. For you personally, is there a sort of a great white whale? Is there sort of the Moby Dick of information that could find its way back to Earth and that you find most fascinating?
Yeah, so these sugars, for example, they, like I was saying, they help with energy storage, but they also come together through chemical reactions and make up the backbones of things like RNA and DNA, these ribonucleic acids that are hugely important for life. So those are much more complex, but finding those actual kind of molecules that come from these smaller molecules, that would be really interesting, because one of the big goals of astronomy right now is to find signatures of things in space that could eventually form life like we know it, or life out there on an alien planet. So we don't know exactly how life began on Earth, but we have a good idea that a lot of the building blocks that we know are crucial to life are things that can form naturally in space. So finding those kind of real kickers like the nucleic acids in space, I think would be unbelievably interesting and really change our perspective of how life came to be.
Whenever a headline like this breaks, and you get sort of a layman like myself coming to you saying, what do you mean you found sugar in space? What does that mean? I'd imagine I'm not the only one. Imagine, a lot of people walking around Adler today were probably tapping you guys on the shoulder and saying, listen, explain this sugar in space thing to me. But isn't that a good thing when something like this happens and it just makes people want to ask questions and just say, listen, explain it to me like I'm 5. What do you mean you found sugar in space? Do you guys look at that as a positive thing?
Without a doubt. Yeah, it's fun to take these discoveries and say things along the lines of, we found the chemicals that are in raspberries in space. But the real, people have found things that make up alcohol in space. And when you put the numbers to it, the amount that's actually out there is just, for lack of better words, astronomical. So it's fun to be able to kind of incite this excitement into the general public. And also it's just a really interesting discovery for helping to learn about our place here in the universe.
I always ask our meteorologist here in studio when a storm's coming through, how often do their phones blow up, asking for weather updates or whether or not their flight's going to be delayed or what have you. When something like this breaks, be honest with me, how does your phone start blowing up of all your friends and family and everyone going, all right, explain this sugar thing to me?
Yeah. I usually get a few text messages. Most of my research is on black holes, so I get a lot of questions about black holes from friends and family. But yeah, anytime kind of this big space news breaks, yeah, people are filling up the phone a little bit.
Well, let's give black holes the stage for a second. What's the latest in black holes?
What's the latest in black holes? Well, I'm part of a collaboration that's found hundreds of black holes out in the universe. These are things not even in our galaxy like this sugar was, but things that are spread across the universe, millions or billions of light years away. So the past decade has really been kind of a renaissance in observing black holes. We've taken pictures of black holes for the first time, and we found hundreds of systems that contain black holes. So what I am particularly interested in is using these black holes to learn about the stars that form them, the big stars that collapse to form these black holes, and learn about the lives and deaths of those stars.
You know, Mike, I was feeling really good about everything I'd accomplished today, and then I talk with you, and you're playing around with the building blocks of our universe, and you're asking the questions of where did we come from as a people, and you're playing around with galaxies, and it really makes all of my accomplishments just feel small today, my friend.
Well, I feel small most days when you put yourself in the context of the bigger universe. So I'm glad I could share that sentiment to people.
Hey, man, where can people get more information on this? Obviously, I think this sparked a lot of curiosity around the newsroom when we were talking about it. If someone wants to stay up to date on not just the sugars that you're finding out in space, but everything that you're finding out on black holes, where can they find more information?
I definitely recommend coming to the Adler on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We have a program called Astronomy Conversations where myself and other astronomers in the Chicagoland area will just talk to guests about new discoveries and things that they find interesting, whether it's from black holes to galaxies to aliens to the beginning of the universe. So any questions you have about space, we're here to answer, and especially on those days where we have experts on the museum floor having conversations with the public.
Mike, this has been fascinating. Can't wait to talk with you again about the next discovery whenever I put my ego back together. We'll have you back on the show, man. We appreciate your time.
Sounds good, and enjoy those raspberries.
All right, man. Will do. All right, guys, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 131 on Chicago Live. We're going to swing back around and talk about the topic that everyone is talking about today. And of course, we're talking about that wildfire smoke making its way into our area. It is basically been creating a blanket over our city right now. Yeah, let's shuffle through a couple of live images. That's some folks over by the Bean right now. Looking out the window, which is in the area of where they are, I can tell you that there's plenty of smoke out there. That's our shed camera. Taking a look. Well, that would be east, I think, toward, like off the lake toward the skyline. You can't even see. Normally in this shot, if you're not familiar with this shot, there's normally the skyline right there. You can kind of see near the left side of the screen. You can kind of see a little bit of the outline of some of the buildings along Grant Park, along Millennium Park. Normally you can see those clearly. Not today. Can we take a shot of the New York skyline? I thought that was really, really interesting. I don't know if we had that. That is a live image out of New York. You see the Empire State Building right in the middle, kind of to the left in the distance. That's around the area where Central Park would be. That is a live image. That is what the sky in New York looks like right now. All of this, the remnants, the repercussions, the effects of the Canadian wildfire smoke blowing its way into our area. The big impact it's going to have on all of us is the impact on our breathing, on our lungs. So we're going to talk with a pulmonologist. We're going to talk with Dr. Renee Jablonski, who's a pulmonologist with Loyola Medicine. Doctor, thank you for taking the time to join us. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me this afternoon.
Of course. How's your phone been today? I'd imagine you've been very busy today of all days.
I think that we unfortunately have had to face similar problems with air quality due to wildfire smoke over the last few years. And so for a lot of my patients with chronic lung disease, it's not a new situation for them to be in.
Well, then to that point, I was just asking someone else about it. How do you know, because we're all going to have some sort of a reaction to this smoke, right? It's going to agitate some of us. It's going to be an annoyance for some of us. And then for some people, it's an actual serious problem for which they need to step in and see a doctor about this. So how do you know where that line is between, this is an annoyance, but it's fine, I can deal with it, versus, no, this is actually very serious and I need to get this checked out?
I think that's a great question. And I think that we have to look at what most people know to be their normal pattern of breathing, their normal pattern of coughing. A lot of people know what their own bodies feel like and look to patients to tell us, no, this isn't how my lungs normally feel. This is something different, particularly in people who we know are especially vulnerable to the effects of this smoke in the air.
We've been talking a lot about, I think it's the AQI number. There's a number that kind of determines how bad the air quality is. A lot of our meteorologists here at Fox 32 have been kind of sending out daily, just actually hourly updates about the this number. And the higher it is, the worse the quality is. I think actually in Canada right now, it's in the 900s. And around here, we were seeing 400s and 500s. I'm curious, one, if that's a number that you're familiar with, the number that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Is there a number, if someone has access, because you can look online and see sort of the live update of where we are, is there a number that if someone sees it, it's above that, that's where you should be concerned?
I think the numbers where we're at right now, where the level is greater than 300, is in the range for where it is hazardous for anyone, whether you have prior lung disease or are a vulnerable population or not. I think for some of the more moderate levels of particulate matter, it's more for our sensitive or vulnerable populations that we get worried about. But on a day like today, when you can see the haze in the air like you showed in those images, I think everyone knows that it's a bad day to be outside. Absolutely.
When you can actually physically see it with your eyes, like I said, I'm looking out the window right now, and normally I can see the line of buildings all the way down Millennium Park, down Grant Park. Can't really see them right now. Listen, there are some people though who are going to say, listen, I don't have a choice. I get that you're saying to stay inside. I get that you're saying to remove yourself from the situations where you have to breathe in the smoke, but for whatever personal circumstances or reasons, what have you, I have to do it. I have to be outside for this reason. To that person, you would say what?
I think if you have to be outside, try to minimize the amount of time that you are outside as much as it is possible. Try to minimize the amount of activity you're doing. The more activity you do, the deeper and the bigger breaths you take in. So the more of this particulate matter then you're going to be inhaling into your lungs. And then it's not a bad idea, if you're going to be outside for a long period of time, to wear a mask, a higher quality mask like an N95 mask that's going to filter out a lot of those particles in the air to try to help avoid them getting into your lungs and causing problems.
We haven't talked about the N95s in a while, but it feels like they're very much back in the conversation today. There are going to be plenty of people who are saying, hey, I'm fine. I don't have an issue. I don't have asthma. I don't have breathing problems. I'm good. I can get out there. I can handle it. I'm fine. To those people who are walking with the confidence that nothing's going to happen to them, are there things they should still look out for where it's like, okay, sure, maybe you're fine, but you're fine until you feel this thing. And if you feel that thing, then you're not actually fine anymore.
Definitely. I think you can be fine, but if you start to feel tightness in your chest, wheezing, more cough or irritation than normal, that's probably your body telling you that maybe it's a little bit too much. And I think the thing that's hard about this particulate matter in the air is that what happens when you breathe it in is it goes down into your lungs and it can get deposited down in the little air sacs in the lungs. And it's likely that if you have that happen cumulatively in multiple episodes over your lifetime, then your risk of developing chronic lung disease in the future is higher, although that's something we as a field are still trying to better understand.
Yeah, that actually leads to an interesting point. Right now, we're very much discussing the immediate effect of this smoke and what it's doing to people and people showing up in ERs because of the impact that it's having on them. But are there long-term effects to sort of the constant inhalation of this smoke that we should be concerned about?
Definitely. There's an emerging body of data that shows that people who live in parts of the city or parts of the country where the air quality is worse, so where there's more of this particulate matter or other dangerous things in the air on a day-to-day basis, people who live in those zip codes are more likely to have chronic lung disease. And so I think we can extrapolate that data to this same scenario as far as the risk even to people who have normal lungs.
There are some people that will say, okay, cool, you know what, I hear you, I'm listening, I'm staying inside, I'm fine, you're good. That's probably how they're watching the show right now. Are there still precautions that people need to be taking even if they are in a situation where they can stay inside?
I think that if you can't stay inside, continuing to try to wear a mask as much as you can and limiting your exposure outside is the most important thing you can do.
Are there ways to give your lungs a break? It feels like, like I said, we keep taking these shots and it's all, the smoke's there. Is there a way to escape in a way that there's no way that the smoke's getting in, that we can completely get away from this?
Probably not truthfully. I think some people in their homes have filters built into their HVAC systems, like HEPA filters that can help filter out some of that particulate matter. But I think that even if you try to minimize your exposure, there's still the potential for some risk there.
Is there anything that you could do to just let your lungs breathe for a moment, in the sense of, I know whenever sometimes I get congested, you turn on a steamy shower and try to let your lungs breathe. Is there a 5-minute vacation for your lungs that you can do in any capacity in home?
I wish I had something like that to offer for some of my patients with chronic lung disease.
Wow. Okay, that's actually fascinating. So, what else do we need to know about this that we should be concerned about? Like you mentioned, this is something that it does feel like we have to deal with every couple of years. Do you feel like today is any worse than some of the other experiences that you've seen from your perspective?
I think it was a few summers ago, we had a pretty bad round of smoke that came down from Canada and really sat in the Chicago area for a couple of days. But you're right. I think that it is seemingly to be like our annual summer bout of wildfire smoke that we're going to just have to be aware of and learn to deal with.
But it's always good to have this information just kind of offhand, just in case we have to deal with it again. Dr. Renee Jablonski, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Take care. All right, guys, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 143 on Chicago Live. As the NAACP National Convention returns to Chicago for the first time in a century, Truth Initiative and the NAACP are announcing an expanded partnership to confront one of the nation's most persistent health disparities, the disproportionate impact of tobacco and nicotine addiction on Black communities. We're going to talk with Dr. Kendrick Dartiste, the Vice President of Outreach and Engagement at Truth Initiative. Dr. Dartiste, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Glad to be here.
Of course. This sounds like a massive undertaking. Where do you even begin? How do you even decide what step one is?
So step one, in the sense of how we are stepping up and really creating opportunity for people to really engage with Truth Initiative and NAACP. And so we're so excited to be here at the NAACP National Convention to really just focus on our efforts to really bring great resources and information to the American people.
For people who've never been out before, I mean, it's, like you said, it's such a great resource for so many people. Can you talk about first of all, just what people can expect from the convention returning to Chicago?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the NAACP is a nation's largest and longest running civil rights organization. And so at Truth Initiative, we are excited to partner with them and join forces to really create the disparity. When we look at the full entirety of the agenda, their aspects of everything they have planned this year for the convention is so rich and so good for the people, and really focus on democracy, looking at civil justice and social justice, and sense of being able to really reiterate the efforts of the American people and give the resources they need to make healthier, stronger communities across this nation.
Can you tell me a little bit about Truth Initiative for people who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, absolutely. Truth Initiative is the nation's largest nonprofit dedicated to nicotine-free lives, and we are really just on the front line every day, really focusing on our efforts to be able to give great resources and treatment, and particularly our element of the X program to the American people through this great, cessation program that we have called the X program. And so we've been working tirelessly across the country. We've been, this past summer, we have been in New Orleans, we have been in Louisville, Kentucky, we've been there, and now we're here in Chicago to really give opportunities for people to really understand a little bit more about who we are at Truth Initiative, but being able to give resources to people in hand.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Breath of Freedom movement?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Breath of Freedom movement is a collaborative effort in conjunction with the NAACP. And so what that is that we are bringing a culture and cessation collective. It's a coalition work we do at Truth Initiative. We're bringing it together with NAACP, creating opportunities for their branches and members to be able to get involved with the Breath of Freedom movement. And so what that means is that you'll see people in your respective communities being able to sign people up for our X program that we have developed in conjunction with a Mayo Clinic to really help people quit. And so it's a great 6-week intervention program that we have developed. And so from that, we really are creating opportunity with NAACP of really spreading the message and as a dissemination partner, but also we are creating assets and different materials that we can use in schools and use and at the community level and health clinics, to being able to get the message out there that there is an opportunity for you to quit, and there is a great resource in conjunction. So we're excited for the Breath of Freedom movement in conjunction and joining forces with NAACP on this effort.
And Doctor, you didn't just, you guys didn't create this movement for no particular reason. You guys were looking at numbers and statistics. For people that are unfamiliar, can you explain what the relationship is between the tobacco industry and with Black communities?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Black community has been targeted constantly since the inception of nicotine products. And so through aggressive marketing and menthol cigarettes and other tobacco products, really continuing the persistence of health inequities that are really showing up in the Black communities. And from that, so we know that about 45,000 Black Americans die each and every year from smoking-related illnesses. And then about 80% of Black Americans who actually smoke use menthol products. And so we know that menthol products are being marketed in Black communities at a higher level than they are other peer communities across the country, and particularly in also cities like Chicago, where we know that the tobacco industry puts a lot of inundation of resources and put a lot of inundation of marketing towards African American communities to really saturate the market. And from that, and so we are taking a stance at Truth Initiative in conjunction with NAACP about really how we can focus on making sure that we are moving our country and our communities to a safer element.
How far back were you able to sort of see this targeting? Whenever you're looking at the stats and you're looking at the numbers, looking at advertising campaigns or what have you, I'd imagine you went back in history. How far back were you guys able to go and really see this happening?
Decades. I mean, decades on decades. And so from that, we know since the 70s, and particularly how menthols were rolled out to the Black community. So in Philadelphia, they're rolled out. They decided to give out free menthol products to Black communities through a kind of ice cream delivery truck of sorts. And so we've known it and seen it, and we've seen it. They're sponsoring Black music festivals. They're sponsoring, really cultural centered activities. And so a lot of times we have some really some identity crises and in that aspect, and really just want to make sure that people know the tobacco industry and how they are showing up in community. And so we have really had at Truth Initiative for the last over 25 years have really shown that to the American people. Like, we know that these communities have been targeted, and we are doing things about it, and really putting the industry on blast for their efforts.
And to your point, when it comes to sort of targeting and marketing by companies, a lot of people don't even necessarily know, whatever the case may be, that they're being targeted for a particular item, particular product, particular service. How much of your job through this movement, through the Truth Initiative, through the NAACP, how much of your job is just, to your point, educating people and letting people know, hey, there's a reason you saw these ads. There's a reason you saw this product a lot in your neighborhood growing up in your lifetime.
Yeah, so a lot of our efforts are around education and really kind of taking the element of what smoking is back and really just focusing our efforts of educating people about how they've been marketed to, how they've been targeted, that they didn't just pick this up just cause, and that was a bad element, and really understanding their addiction from that. And then from that, we have created treatment opportunities through our cessation efforts, the X program that I mentioned earlier. And so, we know that it is tough to quit. And that's why we're surrounding, through the Breath of Freedom movement in conjunction with the NAACP, we're really surrounding people and communities with great resources that know and talk about that. We have the discussions guides that are used for you to be able to have a conversation with your family at the kitchen table, because we know that's an important place in the home. And so really just creating opportunities for, authentic conversations and really get people to understand, one, the predatory practice of the industry, yes, but how we can take charge of our own health. And that's the part that we are so excited, and we're going to be on full display this year at the NAACP National Convention here in Chicago.
You mentioned yourself, tough to quit. Listen, if it were as easy as just telling someone to stop smoking, no one would be smoking anymore. Just the people who smoke themselves, I'd imagine that's a hurdle in and of itself. So when you have this information and you have the numbers and you have the stats and you have the history and you can say, look at all the information we have for you, I'd imagine oftentimes that's still not enough to get people to stop smoking, whether they were targeted or not. What kind of reaction do you get from someone who has been a lifelong smoker and you're trying to explain to them the reason that maybe they are a lifelong smoker? What kind of reaction do you get from someone like that?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So I think some of the pieces really is like why you want to quit, right? Mm-hmm. For your own health, it's one piece, but a lot of times, particularly in African American families, it really is about the family unit and the community at large. And so from that, I spend a lot of our efforts being able to understand and really show people about the effects of in the home. So chronic asthma, COPD, things that are for secondhand smoke exposure. So 20,000 African Americans die each and every year from secondhand smoke exposure. That means someone around them made the decision on their behalf. And so when we take that element of it, we really kind of show people that, there's things you can control for yourself and your autonomy of your body, but also there's an understanding also about the things you do to affect your community around you. And so we have really, reiterated that through our messaging in conjunction with NAACP about the secondhand smoke exposure and about how our children are also marketed to, but also how they also can really have asthma and COPD and things that come from just secondhand smoke exposure. And so, that's a big piece to that, but also really looking at the lifelong person who uses nicotine products, there's never too late to quit. Mm-hmm. It takes an average quitter 7 attempts to be able to quit. And so we know that at Truth Initiative, we know it's not easy, but we are here to outsmart nicotine. And so from that, we really are creating these great resources that we're doing at X Program, and as well as Truth Initiative and the Breath of Freedom movement in conjunction with NAACP, about really just showing up for community, for ourselves, and making sure that we're living longer for our own selves, but also living longer for our communities and family members.
And it sounds like it's a lot of communities that you guys are standing up for. You mentioned, kids get targeted too. We've talked about Black communities, but you also, it's what it says here, Hispanic communities being targeted by these companies, LGBTQ plus communities being targeted. It sounds like it's, multiple communities that have sort of potentially been the subject of this kind of tobacco targeting.
Absolutely. And so we know that the Hispanic community has been targeted as well, and they don't have as much access regards to cessation services, and particularly bilingual services. And so we at Truth Initiative have a bilingual X program, which is our cessation efforts. So they can join there and being able to look at that up, xprogram.com, or they can join Freedom to 88709. They can text that number to start today on their quit journey, and also opt in for Spanish as a language option. But also, yes, youth are targeted each and every day through different efforts. The vaping industry has very much at this recent times have creating flavored e-cigarettes that really target our youth. And so also we know that the LGBTQ plus community has also been targeted by the sponsoring at festivals and prides across this country. And so we know all these things. A lot of these things are, out there for the people, but we wanted to bring it in a centralized place at truthinitiative.org. But also what we're doing at Truth Initiative is really creating an opportunity for, one, we're telling the truth. That's the first start. But the second piece is that we're giving people resources to empower their own health. And so we are excited for the work we're doing, but also we know that there's opportunity for people to be able to reiterate these messages and where we're talking about today. Just share it with a loved one, and share it with a family member and a community member that that we want them to be here for a long time. And so we know that we want to make sure that we're giving great resources and people, but we're not shaming them, right? And we know that there's a stigma to smoking, and so we know all of these things, but we're giving resources for people to reclaim their own health.
It feels like a very judgment-free zone. I'd imagine that's one of the top steps to even begin this process is judgment-free zone.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest piece is like, when you are quitting for family and you're quitting for your community and for your own health, you want to be in a space where you're loved and nurtured to be able to get to your quit date. And so we know that. And so our program, actually X program, is reiterating the messages that really comfort people, and being able to really focus on their efforts to be able to know that this is a judgment-free zone, and that this is something that you're going to take. It's going to take a time for you to be able to kind of focus on your efforts to quit. But what we know that given the resources, we know that you can quit.
Doctor, let's swing back around. The NAACP National Convention returning to Chicago. For someone who hears that and says, I've never been, like maybe I've heard about it. Is it accessible to everyone who can come out? When is it? Where is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the hub, particularly, that's where all the exhibitors like Truth Initiative will be there. You can come see our mobile exhibit called the Ride Together Experience, where we're actually talking about the predatory practices of industry. So you'll be able to walk through our new mobile exhibit that we are debuting here in Chicago. We're so excited for that. But there's other vendors, other people, other great resources like Wells Fargo and Sanofi, and some really great other organizations and partner organizations of NAACP who are going to be there, particularly giving out free resources to community, and that is open to the public. Now, I believe that the sessions in regards to some of the workshops are through a registration process. You can find that NAACP on their website to be able to focus on that. But the hub is open and available to people that can come. All of that is the 18th to the 22nd, I believe the dates are. And so people can come during those times to be able to talk to physicians, talk to community partners. They're doing, banking and financial literacy. There's so many great resources. And so we are excited to be in partnership with NAACP. They're doing the work, and we're here beside them, being able to champion on and to really give some great resources for the American people.
Fantastic. Dr. Kendrick D'Artiste, fascinating conversation. Welcome back to Chicago. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
And happy to have you here. And we'll see you soon, okay?
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. See you down the hub.
All right. Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Kicking off the 2 o'clock hour of Chicago Live. I'm your host, Jake Hamilton. This is really cool. So tomorrow on Friday, July 17th, Logan Square Tattoo voted best tattoo studio in Chicago. We'll celebrate National Tattoo Day with a flash fundraiser benefiting the Chicago Art Department. The studio is going to donate 50% of every tattoo flash sale that day to the artist-run nonprofit. Absolutely incredible. We're going to talk with Gifford Kaysen, the owner over at Logan Square Tattoo. Gifford, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
First of all, tell us a little bit about this fundraiser and what got you guys involved.
Yeah, so tomorrow's National Tattoo Day, and to celebrate, we're doing a flash event, which is something a lot of studios around the country are doing. We have smaller designs available for walk-in appointments, and we wanted to work within the community and the Chicago artist community in order to give back. So we reached out to the Chicago Art Department. They're a cool organization. They're a nonprofit that is working with up-and-coming civically minded Chicago artists and providing them with resources like studio space and places to show their work. And we thought it was important to, help give back to the Chicago artist community and the up and coming artists. So we're going to donate 50% of all of our sales tomorrow to help fund them.
On a day like a National Tattoo Day, do you tend to see a pretty big uptick in folks and walk-ins and folks just coming in and saying, I'm ready, let's go, let's do this?
Yeah, I think anytime we do like a big organized flash event, people get excited about that. They want to be part of something. They want to go and, get in the line and on the list. So we're hoping to have a huge turnout tomorrow. We've got the majority of our crew. We've got 7 artists there who are ready to take all the flash walk-ins that come in and move quickly through the day and try not to keep people standing out in the heat too long.
That's fair. Listen, I mentioned earlier, you guys voted best tattoo studio. I mean, listen, there are no shortage of them in our city, in our area. What is it that you guys are doing right that got you that title in the first place?
I think it's that we put our clients first. We work very hard to have good communication, to be clear and transparent in how the tattoo process works, and make sure that everyone who's coming in not only feels comfortable, but feels like they're getting something that they are happy to be living with for the rest of their life. Tattooing is such a personal thing, and for us as artists, it can turn into just like the day-to-day, we're there to provide a service, but keeping in mind always that it's that clients, it's a big experience for them, and trying to make sure that we understand that, and we're showing them that from the initial consultation process all the way to the aftercare they're getting after they're all done, and making sure that the tattoo heals up exactly how they want it to. I
think that's really interesting to hear. In regards to whenever I talk with tattoo artists, I feel like I don't hear a lot of them often talk about the aftercare, and it's nice. It's cool to hear you guys that's a concern that you don't forget about someone the moment they walk out the door. Sure. Yeah. I mean, as an artist, it's important that we have like that nice photo when we finish up, and that's how we're selling our work. But it's important for us to remember that that isn't what the client is living with. It's how it heals, how it settles in over time. And so that follow-up, that making sure that they can come back to us if they have any concerns or things that need tweaking, and that we're not only like open to that, but we're excited to see that. We want to know how our work is healing. We want to know how we can make that client even happier with the experience, and anything we need to adjust, not only in the initial healing, but over years. It's important as an artist myself who's been doing it for 20 years to be able to see how stuff looks a year down the line, 5 years down the line, and 20 years down the line. I want to ask about something that's I believe behind you over your shoulder, which is I believe the Logan Square signature Jackrabbit logo, and that's playing a pretty big part in this whole event as well. Is that right? Yeah. So for the event, we're calling it Follow the Rabbit. Our logo is a jackrabbit, and part of that is as an artist, what makes our art inspiring and interesting is following those rabbit holes and going down them and exploring. So that's partially where our logo comes from. And in order to celebrate National Tattoo Day, we're doing variations of our rabbit logo
as part of the Flash event. So a bunch of our artists have done their variations on Revit. I designed the logo. It was ink wash brush painting. So you can see back here I have a collection of them that I've been preparing for tomorrow. So we will have several sheets of those ready to go.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. I'm looking at all the different variations over your shoulder, and clearly you're not getting, running out of different ideas of different ways to express this logo. That seems really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's all about going down those rabbit holes. So it's usually when I start a design process like this, I'll sit down, I'll do a quick couple paintings, and then that'll just turn into 100 of them, just one right after the other. And finding those little tweaks, they're not all winners. I might only take 10 out of those 100 and tune those up to the final thing. But that's part of the process. That's part of what being an artist is, and just continually fine-tuning things and exploring and finding new ways of looking at things.
I want to swing back around to you guys, giving so much of your proceeds to this fundraiser, and I think it says a lot about the position that you're in. There are a lot of maybe struggling studios that say, "Listen, I'd love to do this, but I'm not in a position to give half of our day's proceeds to a fundraiser." And just what it means to you, I guess I'd like to know, for your studio to be in a position where you guys can give half of your proceeds, half of a day's work, to a good cause, and still at the end of the day go, "Guys, we'll be okay."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important. It's something that we haven't always been able to do. And we've been around now for almost 12 years. We're pretty established. We have a great crew. Everyone who's participating is doing it on their own accord and donating half of their personal profit to this as well. And I think everyone sees the benefit in helping out the communities that we're part of. Our studio, Logan Square Tattoo, when we started, when we weren't so busy, we had the time to host galleries and have artists other than tattooers in and try to further that community and make space for it. And now that we're fortunate to be as busy as we are, we can't shut down the studio for 2 or 3 days to clean the walls and hang other people's art up, but we can make some space occasionally to do an event like this. And it's fun. I think it's a great outreach on top of for a good cause. And I mean, we just love tattooing, so it's great to have a day like this where it's all about just let's see how hard we can go, how many people we can get in here and make part of this.
I want to talk about the raffle, because what you have a chance to win is pretty interesting. A $500 custom session is available to win for a raffle if you donate $50 to enter. And a custom session is a big deal. I'm going to be full disclosure, I don't have any tattoos, but I at least understand the artistry that goes on behind it, and I respect the artistry that goes on behind it. Can you sort of explain the significance of sort of a custom session and really why that is actually a pretty big prize?
Yeah, I mean, so it's up to a $500 session with myself. Most of my work is custom work. So anytime you come to me and you have an idea, I'm going to sit down and talk with you about what it is and probably design it for you. So that $500 is going to go towards you get to sit down with me. We talk about an idea you have. Doesn't have to be something I drew up specifically for this. It's whatever your idea is. And we're going to develop that piece, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great prize for whoever wins it.
That's pretty amazing. I've talked with people who, the topic of tattoos comes up, and then inevitably people start saying, well, hey, have you ever thought about getting one? And I feel like you start hearing people say, yeah, I've thought about doing this, thought about doing that. For someone who it's an idea and they kind of like the idea of it, but the thing I've always said is I don't know what I would get. I like the idea of it. My dad has tattoos, but I don't know what I just don't know what the thing is I would do. What do you say to someone who wants one? They like the idea of it, but they're blanking in terms of what it is that they actually want. I feel like it's a thing that you got to be in love with if you're going to do it.
Sure. So much of the work that I do and what my clients come to me for is specifically kind of what you're saying. They don't have a specific vision in mind. So that's part of what the consultation process is about. We sit down and say, like, well, what do you like? And it doesn't have to be a thing. It can be a look, it can be a feel, it can be just like a general inspiration. And, from there, that's where I get to work. And I kind of pull from some maybe references or looks that you like, and we'll start designing stuff. I do a lot of pretty abstract stuff because at this point in my career, I've found that specific imagery doesn't necessarily speak to me so much. It's more of this overall look. And I do a lot of larger pieces, and I think my clientele all kind of gets there eventually, where they're like, they don't want just the thing, they want the bigger look. And it's not something where you look at it and you say, oh yeah, I see you have a big sailor ship tattoo or whatever. It's just, I like how that looks. It's almost like you're wearing an article of clothing. It's a style. It's a bigger than a specific thing. So not everyone gets there. Some people come in and they say what you just said, and they want something small. They're not sure what, and we'll go back and forth then and kind of pull from some different ideas, some reference points, and more often than not, they'll walk away without deciding on anything. But I'll probably hear from them within 6 months to a year after they've kind of sat down and let that distill. And I think clients really appreciate that flexibility and not a hard sales pitch as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're not selling a used car. You're selling something that's going to be a part of them for the rest of their life. I'm thinking just mom across my back. What do you think?
Hey, that's great.
Totally original idea, right?
Yeah.
We use the term tattoo artist a lot, and the reason I like that term is because it has the word artist in it. Because I feel like you before you're ever a tattoo artist, you're an artist, and I like hearing how seriously you take this. I love this idea that you'll spend time with someone and then maybe not to expect to hear from them for another year or so. I think that's fascinating. Can you talk about the artistry of a tattoo artist and maybe your own personal artist background?
Sure. I got into it when I was 19, 20 or so, and I thought I was an artist. I drew a lot. I wasn't very good. I've learned a lot since then. So my specific art background has a lot to do with actually tattooing, kind of just being thrown into it and working on clients when I was younger. When I moved to Chicago, I started studying under a couple of local fine artists at the Vitruvian Studio. They do a great atelier program, and they taught me more of the fine art side of things. And from there, I got into working on still lifes and figure drawing and painting, and learning the brass tacks of actual art. So combining that with like all the tattoo design and the skills I learned from there is basically where it got me now, where I have the fine art skill set as well as the design skill set from tattooing, and I like to combine those two in different ways, and just kind of pursue different avenues with that and things that interest me that I think are going to make strong tattoos, but also have an artistic element to them.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot just because our producer Perry behind the scenes, we noticed this. We don't see any tattoos on you, Gifford. Is it because you're wearing the long sleeves?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
okay,
covered,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're just showing off, man.
Yeah, I won't take all of my clothes off for you.
This is a family-friendly show, Gifford.
Yeah.
Okay, well now I've got to ask, because it's sort of that, like, who works on the best. You're the best in the city of Chicago. Who do you get to do your tattoos?
Yeah, so shout out to the artists who I've worked with. One is another Chicago local, Marco Velasquez, and I worked with him out in Oak Park for a number of years. And he was very inspirational to me. He helped me learn a lot on large design process. And in tandem with him, I worked and got work done by Jeff Croce. He's out in San Francisco. And currently, over the last 5 years or so, I've been getting tattooed by my friend and another artist I look up to a lot, Marcus Leonard, and he's out in Vancouver, BC.
All right. One more time, let people know where they can come out. Obviously, this is a big day happening tomorrow, where they can find you guys. And if they can't make it out tomorrow, if it's something they're thinking about, maybe they want to reach out to you in a year, where they can find you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're at Logan Square Tattoo, 2352 North Milwaukee Avenue. And people can pop in anytime. Tomorrow's probably not a great time to come talk about your custom tattoo, but any other time, feel free to call, text, send us an email. We're very accessible. That's sort of our thing. So they can reach out anytime and we'll get right back to them and be happy to schedule their consultation or tattoo.
Gifford, I haven't, we got a lot of people that work behind the scenes here on Chicago Live to put this show together, and I haven't pitched this to all of them, but I'm going to try to get us all together to get a collective team Chicago Live tattoo somewhere, maybe the lower back. That's what I'm thinking. Do you think, could you do like a team effort, maybe like a team discount if we all come in?
Oh, absolutely. Hit me up. We'll work it out with our team, and we'll make a thing of it. You guys bring your cameras, and we'll
make it a whole thing. Trust me. It was. Yeah. I'm joking, but right now there's someone downstairs going, that's actually not a bad idea. That could be a great live shot. Gifford Kaysen, owner over at Logan Square Tattoo. Hey man, congratulations on all of your accomplishments, everything that you guys have done on being named the best in Chicago. Have a successful day tomorrow, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, buddy. Talk soon. All right, guys. Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Just about 2:18 on Chicago Live. This is a topic I'm very excited about, and I'm going to try not to get too nerdy, geeky about, but we really want to kind of break this down and explain the significance of this. So there's a movie coming out today called The Odyssey, and one of the big narratives surrounding this movie is it is the first feature film shot entirely in IMAX. If you've ever seen a Christopher Nolan movie, whether it be The Dark Knight or Interstellar or Inception, very likely, if you've seen it on the big screen, you've seen it like this, and then it opens up wide to show you the full frame. There are only 25, I believe, 70 millimeter IMAX screens around the country, and just one in our area, and that is the Cinemark Seven Bridges and IMAX in Woodridge. And we're going to talk with Cinemark Public Relations, Julia MacArthur. Julia, thank you for taking the time. It's a pleasure to chat with you.
So much for having me.
Of course. So explain this to people. There are so many different variations of the way to see The Odyssey around the country, and even here in the city of Chicago. Our producer Perry was just saying, well, Music Box down the road, they have it in 70. Yes, they have it in 70 millimeter, but you guys are the only ones that have it in 70 millimeter IMAX. Can you explain what that means exactly?
Yes, of course. Well, 70 millimeter, first and foremost, means that it's on an actual film reel that is being projected. What we had for every film before everything went digital. But IMAX 70 millimeter is really special because it's the biggest aspect ratio you can possibly have. So you are going to have that expanded frame that is going to show you more footage than any other format. And it's something that Christopher Nolan is really passionate about. He has said in previous interviews that it's basically the closest you can get to something being 3D without actually being 3D, because that screen is so massive. It's such a high resolution that you really feel like you're totally immersed into, the on-screen action.
I can honestly tell you, I had the chance. I was in New York about a month ago and had the chance to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX, and it's overwhelming in the best way. It really is. You kind of just let it wash over you. It's no exaggeration to say that this is a kind of a rare privilege to be able to see it in this format, because there just aren't a lot of theaters in the country that have the ability to do this. And correct me if I'm wrong, the one in Woodridge, it's the only one in our area.
Yes, you are correct. It's actually the only one in the whole state of Illinois, because these are very special projectors. And not only that, but the projectionists that are actually the ones in charge of running that film reel through them have to go through really extensive training. So it's something where IMAX has very strict standards for this, and not every theater is able to showcase something in this format. So we're just very excited at Cinemark to be that one theater in the whole state to be able to showcase the Odyssey in this way.
But I guess my question because we've known in the years, past couple of years that Christopher Nolan was going to be doing this, is it really difficult to get these projectors? I saw an interview, I believe, with the president of IMAX earlier this week on the Odyssey red carpet. He said that they're just not making these new IMAX projectors. I would imagine Cinemark, if they could, every one of your theaters would have one of these 70 millimeter IMAX projectors and screens. Is the goal, is the hope, if you have a major filmmaker like Christopher Nolan making these movies, is the goal to equip as many of your theaters with this projector and with this screen?
Yeah, well, I can't speak for IMAX. It is their technology and their projectors, and we just feel really lucky that we have some theaters that are able to showcase these. We now have 4 theaters across the nation that have IMAX 70 millimeter. We've had one here in Dallas for quite a while, and now we have 3 new ones, including the one in the Chicago area. So we're just very excited and honored to be, one of the theater chains that's able to utilize this really great technology.
Well, you use the word excited, and a lot of people in the area are excited that you have this. So much so, correct me if I'm wrong, last time I looked, you guys have a 1:30 a.m. screening, not 1:30 p.m., 1:30 a.m. screening of the Odyssey in 70 millimeter IMAX. And last I saw, I didn't see any good seats available.
Yes, the demand is immense. We do have showtimes at 2:40 a.m. even, and then they go right into 7 a.m. the first show times of the day. And if you look on our website, pretty much most of the seats are sold out except for a few in the front row. So this is something that people are really, really excited about. And, when we got to show Oppenheimer in IMAX 70 millimeter a few years ago here at our Dallas location, we actually had people coming from out of state, from out of the country. So people are very passionate about being able to see these films in this really unique format. And we're seeing the same kind of demand already for the Odyssey.
Listen, I by no means do I want to dissuade anyone from going to this experience, but I do want people to be aware that if you buy first row to a 70 millimeter IMAX screening of a movie, you're going to be looking up a lot. And the Odyssey is not a short film. That's a long time to be looking up like that. So it is worth letting people know that there's a difference between the first row and the middle row versus the back row. Would you agree?
Yes, I mean, it is quite a massive screen. And of course, it's going to be a great experience. You're going to get to see this incredible film no matter where you sit. But yes, this IMAX screen specifically is going to be the largest. So, something to keep in mind when booking those tickets.
And one thing I also want people to know is, listen, you know, we're very lucky that we have this screen, that we have the ability to have this 70 millimeter presentation in our backyard here in Chicago. But there are a lot of areas, there are a lot of states that don't have that ability. And so there are a lot of people that are saying, well, it's not fair that I don't live near one of these 25 theaters in the country presenting the movie in this way. It's great. It's a great alternative. It's a great way to see the movie the way it was shot, right? But it's not like you're not missing plot points. You're not missing actors. If you end up seeing it in a regular widescreen format in a traditional movie theater, maybe even one of the crisp, clear theaters, you're still going to get a good presentation. It's literally a little bit of extra on the top and a little bit of extra on the bottom, and then in a massive scope, right?
You are absolutely correct. So the great thing about Cinemark is that you're going to get an awesome experience no matter which auditorium you choose. And we have a lot of different auditoriums that are showing the Odyssey, not only with IMAX 70 millimeter, but even our regular auditoriums. We have Cinemark XD, which is our own premium large format. Really, no matter which auditorium you choose, you are still getting that really immersive, top of the line movie theater technology. And you're going to be able to experience this great film in the immersive theatrical way that Christopher Nolan intended.
Whenever I was in New York a couple of weeks back and I saw the film at Lincoln Square, I asked an employee there, and I said, just for a person who randomly wakes up and says, I'd like to see it in IMAX 70 millimeter opening weekend, and they don't have tickets, because these tickets went on sale like a year ago, and he went, good luck. You don't want to dissuade anyone from checking, I'd imagine, but if someone's just now deciding that they'd like to see it in 70 millimeter this weekend, tonight, tomorrow, are they out of luck? Is it worth looking, or might you have to wait a week or two if you're waiting for this particular format?
I mean, I would just encourage, everyone to continue checking our website, checking our app. Some people do have things come up last minute and they might refund their tickets. You never know. So I would encourage anyone who wants to see it to just continue to, check those show times online and see where you can snag a seat.
And the Odyssey is going to be in this format. I know a lot of times IMAX works in contracts, and a movie will be available in IMAX for 2 or 3 weeks, and then the next movie comes in. Is it the Odyssey to be replaced by Spider-Man? Is that correct?
I can't really speak to that. I don't know exactly when, but again, I would just encourage anyone to check our website and check our app, and that'll have all the up-to-date information on showtimes.
All right, Julia, here's the question. Have you seen it yet?
I have not, and I am so excited. I did get to see Oppenheimer in IMAX 70 mils, so I'm hoping that I'll get to see the Odyssey in this format as well.
What do you mean if? You work for Cinemark. Make it happen. You go in there and demand a seat.
Hey, I'm just like everyone else. I'm an excited, Christopher Nolan fan, and I'm hoping to get lucky and snag one of those tickets.
All right, fantastic. We appreciate you breaking this down and explaining this for us. And again, we are very happy that we have this option in our backyard. For a long time, we didn't. We used to have one over at Navy Pier, and that was taken away from us. So we're glad that we have one out in Woodridge that movie fans can get out there and check it in the way that Nolan intended. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. All right, guys, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, it's Anita Blanton. Oh boy, we need some lights. Goodness grief. Hi, thanks for being here with us. We are, everything okay over there? We are moments away from getting some lights over here. So let's just talk a little bit about what we have coming up for you. Good to be here with you on a Thursday. It's my Friday, and we have plenty of great conversations still to come. Jake had to scoot out of here so he could get ready for an interview, but we're going to make this work for the next hour and a half before we get you to our 4 o'clock newscast. All right, the lights are warming up. The lights are warming up. Let's talk a little bit about the smoke in the air, because I think that's the big talker really for us here in Chicago and so many other cities. We'll take you through some of the live pictures that we have. First and foremost, let's take a look around our city, okay? Because the moment you step outside today, it hits you. I mean, people are still out at the Bean, all of our friends, our visitors, but this is significant, what we are experiencing today. I mean, I think we have spoken to several of our meteorologists over the last few days who all prepared us for what was to come in terms of the smoke coming from Canada. But when it got here, you're still kind of like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is what they were talking about. Look over Lake Michigan. I mean, it's crazy what we're experiencing today. So many people, as I was out and about, got those N95 masks back out that we had back from the pandemic. They're coming in handy today if you still had them around to put them back on. I mean, if you have any type of upper respiratory issues, this is not the day to be out for long. If you don't have to be, look at the air quality there, and you can see, again, this isn't like, okay, we've got fog, how far can you see, a visibility issue. This is from the EPA, okay? We have significant issues today, and it feels like, and we'll talk to meteorologist J.D. Rudd in the 3 o'clock hour, but it feels like even as the day has gone on, that has gotten worse in some ways. I mean, everywhere you go, it just smells like smoke around here. As I said, we are not dealing with this issue alone by far today. So let's take a look at some of the other states even that are having the same issue that we're having or worse. So here's a live picture to New York City, and you can see they are dealing with that same thick particulate matter in the air that we are dealing with. Oh my goodness. And it makes you think back to a couple of years ago when we had all of those orange days, that haze that just hung around from the Canadian wildfires, and it just hung around for several days. And I mean, this is bad. Can we go on to another maybe picture that we have as we're just taking a look at what everybody's dealing with today? All right. In Washington, D.C., doesn't look as bad, right? They are not dealing with as much of an issue as we are today. I even spoke with, friends, family downstate. They're not even having as much of an issue as what we are having here in Chicago and what we just looked at there in New York City today. But the bigger thing is that this may not be it for us. What we're experiencing today, we may have again. There may be another bout of this that we are gearing up for as well. Let's take you back to that live picture from Washington, D.C., and let's just talk about the big news out of Washington, D.C., of course, will be that President Trump is going to be having a primetime speech tonight. I believe it's at 8 o'clock our time. It will be 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And you can see here, even from this view, of course, the flags in Washington, D.C. are at half staff. That is out of respect for Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, who passed away from an aortic dissection over the weekend. But there have been a flood of tributes that have been pouring in this week as people remember his legacy, remember his time, his many decades in elected office. And I'm sure that President Trump will mention that this evening as we're finding out a little bit more information about what he should be speaking about. There were lots of questions as to what the subject matter of tonight's speech would be, and we are hearing now that it will likely be kind of a push for especially the Senate to get behind the Save America Act, all right? And that has to do with safe and fair elections. And so President Trump is really going to try to make the case tonight regarding that. I was listening into a press conference earlier today with Caroline Leavitt, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and she kind of gave some details into, all right, this is exactly what this speech is going to be about. We're not sure all that he will be making the case with. She said that there would be some evidence-based discussion tonight. We shall see what that is. But she says that it should make the case that this Save America Act is needed. We'll see. Again, that speech is slated for 8 o'clock our time this evening for sure. We will be carrying that full through and through on our air, also online if you maybe need to step away or you need to look from a different screen. All of us typically have a few different screens around at all different times. So we'll be looking forward to that speech tonight. Let's talk about some of the discussions that we have coming up in the next hour and some change that we have time together here in the 3 o'clock hour. This isn't a conversation, but in the 3 o'clock hour, we are anticipating a SpaceX launch. Always love to see those. The SpaceX Falcon 9 is expected to launch another batch of satellites for the Space Development Agency's Trans-1 transport layer, and that is from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. So hopefully we'll be able to see that. That should be around 3:22 our time. We'll see if it's exactly on time or if it gets delayed a bit. Hopefully they're not dealing with anything like what we're dealing with today in terms of the smoke that's in the air, but we'll take a look at that as well. Speaking of the smoke that's in the air, though, we are going to have a conversation around 3:15 about how smoke even hurts your car. I mean, I think most of the conversations that we have been having have been about, and very importantly so, our bodies. not breathing in that thick smoke out there today for extended periods of time, what that does to you, all of those things. Obviously, we've had a lot of conversation about that, and rightfully so, but we're going to talk about how smoke hurts your car. Very intriguing. Again, you think about smoke and breathing that in as a person, but what about it getting on your car, on your clothes, in your system, your car's system, what it might do to your car. So that's going to be about 3:15 that we'll have that discussion, as well as we're bringing in a researcher. Again, this is such a huge talker that we're going to cover this from many different angles here today. So we have Dr. Colleen Reed, the director of the Public Health Program, an associate professor in geography, and a faculty fellow of the Institute of Behavioral Science from the University of Colorado Boulder, who we've called in today to talk to us about wildfire smoke and all of the different things that she's learned as we learn more every time we end up in this situation. It's been a while, but we've definitely been through this before. So we get to learn a little bit more each time. I mean, it really is just, it's mystifying to see it. When you woke up this morning, I don't know about you, but I woke up and immediately, I didn't think about the conversations I had with our meteorologist about what to expect. Immediately, I was like, what is going on? Is that fog? And I said, oh no, that's when it hit me. The air quality issues, but you just didn't expect it to be this bad. I mean, that just said the Northbrook location, 767. That is crazy. I mean, I think the numbers that I've seen today have gone from like in the hundreds to, I think in one note, a meteorologist, Mike Kaplan, said it was like 400 and something near Gurnee. But to see 700, over 700, this is crazy what we're dealing with today. So again, it is the big talker today, and so we'll cover it from multiple angles here. A couple of other conversations that we're anticipating in the next hour. 3:45. I don't know how this happens, but it did for a man in our area. He went to the wrong wedding. You know, when they told me we were going to be talking to somebody about that, I'm like, how exactly does that happen? I mean, at some point, don't you kind of look around and say, these aren't my people? Like, you know, don't you expect to, even if you don't know the bride and the groom, which you should, but let's say you don't even know the bride, there's nobody there that you recognize and that doesn't hit you like, something's a little off, something's a little wrong with this. But it has caught the attention of so many people. We are going to have a discussion about it. And so that is coming up around 3:45. I honestly cannot wait to hear how this all went down. And so that's coming up around 3:45 and 2:45. So not too long from now, we are going to talk about a lemonade stand. And this is a local construction company that's holding this lemonade stand contest for local youth who aspire to be entrepreneurs. Absolutely love that. And look forward to that discussion as well with the project executive with Riley Construction, Dan Sullivan. So give us about 2 minutes here and we're going to get going with our conversations again. We're going to cover this wildfire smoke heavily because it's covering us heavily, but we'll also get to some really important conversations about other things that are going on as well. We're back in 2 minutes. All right, everybody, 2:45. Let's go and get going with our discussions. And we're going to start up with this lemonade stand that I think will really warm your hearts. And we have Dan Sullivan, the project executive with Riley Construction, who's joining us. And I hear you're not alone.
Yes, we have Ella Gropman here with us, who's the person who's going to be running the lemonade stand. Pretty exciting.
Aha. Let's see. So Ella's there. Chris is here. Dad, hello to you. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We all appreciate it.
Okay, great to be here.
All right. So tell us a little bit about how this all came to be.
So really with Riley, we're always looking for opportunities to give back to the community, and we looked at the 4 different offices where we operate, and wanted to really just look at something cool that we could work with the community and be able to give back to the communities where we work and live, and we put together this program. We put it out there. This is the first year that we've done it, and throughout Wisconsin and Illinois, we had 200 applications, and we were really excited when we saw Ella's proposal to be a part of this, and that's why we selected her. Our office in Illinois is in Waukegan, and she's right in the Waukegan area, and supporting the Family First Center of Lake County, which is based in Waukegan, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dad, you have to be so proud of Ella. Chris, can you hear us? Ella, can you hear us? All right, I think we might have an issue on that side of things. Dan, of course, we can hear and see you, so we'll just stick with you. I'm not sure what's going on, but we can hear and see you okay. So tell me what set Ella's project, her proposal apart from the others.
It was a cool story because as part of this, the working for donations for the Family First Center of Lake County, she had seen personally how they benefit other people, and we saw that. We saw that as a young person being excited about a charity in the community that we live in, that was just a really great thing to support. So with that, our program, we match up to $2,500 of what they make in on their lemonade stand, and Ella's got this coming up at the Gurnee Farmers Market. So August 23rd and September 6th, she's going to have her stand up there. So we're excited, and I'm looking forward to coming and support that as well.
Oh, I think it's awesome. I don't know, do we have our audio issues fixed? Okay, they're going to rejoin us in just a moment. I really want to hear from Ella, I
know, right?
The star of the day, and we can't hear from her yet. But Dan, how long have you all been doing this?
Yeah, so this is our first year. That's where we're really excited that it really took off, and we felt like, just getting the word out in the community, and we really got a lot of participation, which again, we're doing it at our 4 offices. So that we, like I said, this is our Waukegan office in Lake County, but also we have one in our office in Kenosha, Madison, and then also Milwaukee. So this is our Illinois stand, and we're hoping to get some really good support for it.
Awesome. Good stuff. I see Chris and Ella are back. Hopefully we can hear you. Can you hear us? Oh, no. Sometimes it's like that. You got to love technology when it works. Dan, so tell me, how many young people sent their proposals?
Yeah, so we had over 200. So like I said, we had to narrow it down to just 4 winners, which was really hard. There was a lot of really great causes, and really cool stories from kids, but we thought Ella's really stuck out, and we thought it would be a great one to support. So we're excited and hoping she brings in a lot of money so that we can at least donate that full $2,500.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think she will. I'm rooting for her all the way. I was rooting for our technology today. We're not out of time yet, but
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the
I was gonna
technology
say-
as well.
If you look behind Ella, you can see the stand. So that's something that Riley's carpenters actually built. So we built a stand for each of the
Oh, wow.
each of the people who will be doing this, so that it's a, we do have our own in-house carpenters, and thought it was a really cool way for us to give back. And hopefully Chris's audio is working now.
Can you hear us?
Yay! All right.
Oh my goodness! I am so sorry, everyone.
It's okay, but you know what? We were just, if we had to take this to 4 o'clock, we were going to wait until it worked. No, great to have you all here.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate.
So we were giving Ella all of the accolades, but Dad, before I talk to Ella, I see two parents here, and just how proud are you all of Ella?
It's amazing raising a beautiful young little girl who wants to do so much for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Ella,
She's an amazing young lady.
can you hear us? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me how you put your proposal together. What did you want to get across to them?
Well, I might have had a little bit of input in that, to be honest with you, because I'm still kind of an old school parent who my kids don't have phones yet. So the story is that the Family First Center has helped our family in the past with Toys for Tots, and we wanted to do something to be able to give back to the community and also try to help. And when I seen that Riley Construction was doing something very beautiful for the community as well by giving a generous donation, a matching donation, I thought this was a good chance for not only myself but my family to be able to give back.
Aha, okay, all right. So Chris hopped in there, wanted to make sure that that your family was a part of this, and you came out the winners. Ella, how excited are you about this lemonade stand?
I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. How is it going to fit into your summer plans?
Very well.
Does this make you like the best big sister ever? I see your is that your brother?
Yeah.
Has to be, because he's saying no.
I think there's going to be some unpaid labor that's going to go into the lemonade stand, and there may be some emotional issues with that.
So brother will help out, and I'm sure he will get on board when he starts to see what you all are doing there. But what does it mean to you all to be able to give back in this way too?
To help.
That's a you question.
That's an all of us question.
To help our community, to help people have stuff that they couldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
The family
They wanted.
The Family First Center is a absolutely wonderful organization that is very well known in our community of being Waukegan and Lake County for doing many aspects in the community of different functions. Like I said, Toys for Tots is one that we were able to utilize from them. So to be able to give back in any aspect it is a great feeling to be able to be accepted in doing that. And unfortunately, obviously, they're not here with us to kind of comment as well. But I know just from meeting with them that they're excited and looking forward to having us next to them doing a lemonade stand, as we'll be doing several events with them coming up as well.
Awesome. And tell me, I mean, the physical stand is behind you all. Tell me when you all got that and what went through your mind when you saw it.
Well, when I first seen it, I'm actually the one who's seen it first. I thought it was absolutely incredible. and they did a wonderful job building and construction this. Riley did a beautiful job. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's to be honest with you, it'd be something I would buy to put in my home, not just to have sitting in a place to sell lemonade with.
It's awesome. And you all are as well. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And tell me, all right, if people are watching this and they want to be a part of helping you all give back, what do they need to do? Where are you going to be?
So coming up here for sure, we're going to be at the Gurney's Farmer Market at Route 21 and Washington Street in Gurney. That will be on August the 23rd. It's a Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then we'll also be there at the same market on September 6th, same time as well. It's another Sunday. And then we're going to have some very sporadic prop-ups here in the next couple of weeks, all and around Waukegan, Gurney, and the Beach Park area.
Sounds fantastic. I know they're all going to be super successful. Let me bring Dan back into the conversation. You know, we had to kind of solo with the family because we lost them for a while. But Dan, what does it mean to you to just be able to give this kind of opportunity to the family and to the community?
Yeah, you know, it's really cool to hear the stories and know that people are going to benefit from this. And like I said, I'm really excited to come visit and get some lemonade myself. So hopefully others here listening will do the same. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Ella, have you been working on your recipe, your lemonade recipe?
Not really.
You got to get on that. You got to work on the recipe.
What she means is it's already so good that we don't need to work on it. We've already perfected it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Barring
I like
all
that.
my flavor syrups. So yes.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. Best of luck to you all. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. And we're rooting for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then
Thanks
we'll also be providing Riley with some updates too that they're going to share on their social media as we have dates. They're going to post some stuff on there, so I encourage people to follow Riley Construction on Facebook, and they'll be posting some dates of where we're going to be also.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Thanks for mentioning that. You can also go to our website, rileycon.com. So we have all the information there as well. So
you all take care.
Thanks so much.
You as well. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It's 2:58, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. We'll get going with our 3 o'clock hour. right, 3:01 everyone, as we are back here on Chicago Live now in our final hour before we take you to the 4 o'clock news. And meteorologist JD Rudd is here. You called two things yesterday in the 3 o'clock hour that both came to fruition in spectacular fashion. One of those was the FIFA World Cup game that we were watching simultaneously as we were doing the show yesterday. Right before JD left out of here, he's like,
how can you have a come from behind win unless you fall behind? You know, Messi's got to do something here. And they leaked the script early.
Moments later, boom, boom.
It was
not boom, boom, boom.
As one of our producers said, it's the Messi gods. It's somebody out there who likes Messi in Argentina. It was just meant to be, or it's the script writers of FIFA.
It was just thrilling. It really
was. A great match.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But the other thing, let's talk about that, and that was this smoke that's in the air. And where I say I couldn't believe how Argentina came back yesterday in that match against England, even though you prepared us for what was to come today. I think most of us still woke up and said, I cannot believe it's this bad.
Well, and I will be fair and honest about that. I wasn't anticipating it to be this bad. We saw some forecast model data suggesting we'd have some thicker smoke aloft, but not necessarily at the surface. And a lot more has come down to the surface than anticipated. There are a lot of things for me to go through here. First off, this map that you see, the color coding on here might be a little bit hard to discern and decipher, but couple of takeaways. This stuff is literally off the charts. The color coding on here, the deeper shades of a maroonish color, if you will, across much of northern and eastern Wisconsin, spilling down into northeastern Illinois, that there is as bad as it gets. The air quality is just terrible right now in these areas, all from those wildfires burning across Canada. We zoom in a bit closer. I mean, pretty much all of us are dealing with some pretty terrible air. Recall I showed the map yesterday of the air quality alert, which did not include Kankakee County. But clearly, Kankakee County has got some pretty bad air themselves. Now, to dive deeper into this, the airnow.gov site that kind of monitors all this stuff, their scale that they use, the AQI, the Air Quality Index, goes from 0 to 500, with the higher the number meaning the worse of the quality of the air that you have. 500 is the top of their chart. Okay, this is our current air quality index right now.
JD, we may have peeked into your graphics in the 2 o'clock hour when we were like 727.
Yeah. This is hazardous to say the least. This is record setting. I'm working on some more data to try to how I'm going to visualize it and compile it, but this beats anything else we have in recorded history, at least at the Northbrook location and a few other locations. I'm plotting all around greater Chicagoland just to make sure that we're doing this right. This is from the Northbrook location, mind you. There are some other locations in the heart of the city. The number is lower, but it's still not good air. And digging through all the data, this surpasses, we had a pretty thick blanket of wildfire smoke June of 2023.
Right, I remember.
So 3 years ago, this tops all of that.
And at that time, it was like a orange haze that sat over us and made us feel very apocalyptic. I don't see the orange today.
No, because there's so much, it's so opaque. There is so much in the atmosphere. Then there wasn't as much. It was more, for lack of better terms, spread out in the upper part of the atmosphere, so it allowed the light to bend a certain way and see those colors. Everything is so dense in there. This is like a fog, but it's not fog. It's just all those smoke particles, which there have been some areas, I know in Lake County, Illinois, you can see particles of smoke falling from the sky. This is incredible stuff.
And when you mention fog, that's what, when I first woke up, that's what I thought. And then I really had to think a little more clearly about our conversations. And I was like, oh wait, this is that smoke that JD was talking about.
But then as you got closer to the door, or certainly outside, you took that first sniff and you went, oh.
As the day has gone on, everywhere you go, it's just inside, outside, it smells like smoke.
It's gotten worse every hour. That's why. About 3 hours ago, our AQI was around 500 or something. Then it went up into the 600s, then the 700s where we are now. We've been continuously there the past 2 hours. This is not good. So naturally, then the questions I have been getting are, when does it stop? When does it go away? What's happening? I've tried to answer those 3 questions. If I have the graphic up and ready to go, let's see if I got this pushed correctly. Here it is. 3 main questions. How long does this last? How bad is this? And what do we do? So how long? This is going to be with us through at least tomorrow afternoon. I don't foresee this smoke leaving us this evening, overnight, nor tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow there may be some surfaced wind features that happen that'll kick the smoke a little farther north and northeast. That doesn't mean we're done with it for the rest of the week, the weekend, the season, but it's at least a small break from this thick, nasty garbage we're dealing with. How bad is it? We touched on this a moment ago. This is the worst on record for many spots. I had one of our production folks say, this seems to be worse than what we had a couple of years ago. It is. This is by far worse, not just by a little bit, by a lot of it. In some cases, it's almost double what it was last time.
Wow.
So it's bad. And so what do you do as we've been preaching at this point in time? Stay inside. There's no reason to be outside going for a walk, going for a jog. If you absolutely have to, use those N95 masks. We talked about this yesterday, those leftovers from the COVID years, even from the wildfires a few years ago. Air purifiers. I mean, we here at Fox Chicago have got ours set up in the newsrooms, the main areas where people are congregating to help purify that air. Listen, I realize some folks don't have access to an air purifier. That's a luxury for some folks. Even masks might be hard to come by. The best thing you can do is get inside, get somewhere where that air is being cleansed or at least circulated. And that's the other thing ongoing today is you look outside, look around, there's a little bit of wind out there, but not a lot. The air is very stagnant and still. It's been that way for a couple of days. So there's nothing moving this stuff around. It's just sitting. It's almost like you going and sitting in a smoker somewhere. You don't need that. It's not good.
Yeah, and I was looking at something earlier to go back to your point about us not being finished with it. I was looking at something earlier that's talked about a shift in wind patterns possibly by Monday.
It's possible.
We could bring it back around.
It could come back around by Monday into Tuesday. It's all about if we get a northerly or northeast wind, mid-levels or aloft, to pull that smoke back in. But this is the other thing too, and I was talking with a few other folks about this. This is just the heart of wildfire season. More of these fires are likely going to erupt and spread across Canada. This becomes a thing for a month or two. So now we're kind of in that time of the year. You get that northeast wind. We're going to see wildfire smoke. It may not be as bad as this next time around, but it's going to be there, be present with us as we go throughout the next several weeks.
Yeah, I mean, your eyes feel different today. Definitely, if you spend any amount of time out there, it's bad.
Yeah, this one is different. This is one of those, I always say leave yourself room to go. Like whenever it comes to severe weather and anything else, you shouldn't be, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, because when the sky is actually falling, now you need something to squawk about.
Right.
This is kind of that threshold. It doesn't get much worse than this. This is almost like you being in the actual wildfire itself. This is pretty nasty stuff.
And anybody, I remember early in my career covering wildfires, and I don't know that I ever got the smoke out of those clothes.
No, it stays with you, and that's the thing. If you're out inside of this stuff for a long time, it's
just gone.
It permeates and it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah. So we're kind of in the thick of things. And then, where are we in terms of temperatures? Because we've really put our focus on, for good reason, the smoke today, but what's going on with like the heat wave that we've been in?
It's almost like you're inside my brain, because the next graphic I had queued up was the current temperature, and we talked yesterday how this smoke might be thick enough, it might hold back the temperatures, and it has in some cases. For those who were maybe worried that we would break our streak of 90s, no, we've officially gotten to 90s. So now 4 days in a row of high temperatures in the 90s. That streak will continue, just barely. We're at 85 at the lakefront, 88 in Gary. It's still warm. It's still hot in some cases. Humidity's out there as well. But now it's that give and the take, because if we're encouraging folks to really stay inside, now maybe you're not dealing with the heat and humidity as much because you're staying inside.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a blessing, if you will, to this, that you don't have to be out in that heat if you don't absolutely have to be. But that's the other side of this coin, is there are some folks, I think about our city workers, our sanitation crews, our mail carriers, anybody else like that has to be outside.
Yeah.
Now, not only are they enduring heat and humidity, now they're breathing in this junk.
Yeah, and the unhoused,
Yes.
So plenty of folks who hopefully can take advantage of cooling centers in our area or something of the sort. Even if you just pop in somewhere for a brief moment, that's a bit of help. And what is the record for 90s?
There's the longest we've gone in recent history has been 4 days in a row. 5 days in a row we've not done in 5 years. 6 days in a row we've not done in 6 years. 7 days in a row hasn't happened since 2017. We're not going to get to 7 days in a row, but if you take a peek at the 7-day forecast, I'm still thinking low 90s for tomorrow and Saturday. That would give us 6 days in a row, and again, that's something we've not done since 2020. Sunday's a break. 83, all right, not bad, sunshine, and then we could be close to 90 again on Monday, but as we talked about earlier, if that wind comes back around to the northeast, that might give us more smoke, more haze, could hold that temperature back a couple extra degrees, and then it looks like after Monday, low 80s, which is actually below normal for this time of year.
Wow, what is the average?
85 is our average high right now, so just by a few degrees. The other thing I will say, obviously you see here rain chances in the forecast. There's a spotty chance in our southern counties today. Tomorrow is more of a spotty to widely scattered, and that's at best. I think a lot of us stay dry tomorrow. I'm not seeing severe weather. If we do get rain, that might help rinse the air out a little bit. That's why I say we're going to keep this smoke around until tomorrow afternoon, then things improve. Saturday, though, we have been upgraded to a level 1 risk of severe weather, and that'd be for the afternoon to evening as a cold front comes through. So heads up, if you do have Saturday plans, the wildfire smoke may be gone by then, but watch out for thunderstorms that could produce some damaging wind gusts.
Okay, lots to keep in mind.
Oh gosh, yes.
Lots to keep in mind, but thank you for walking us through it.
Yes.
We appreciate it. We will see you coming up in the 4 o'clock news, sir. And just so you know, he will be back here next week filling in for Caitlin.
For Caitlin, yes, and all next week on the midday program.
Yeah, so we weren't getting rid of him.
I'll
come
be
on.
hanging around.
When he said it earlier, come on.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
He'll still be around. All right, give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's about 3:16 right now, and we're going to continue on with the conversation about the smoke that's in the air. We've talked about how we, as humans, deal with it on our bodies and what we need to do to protect ourselves. Let's talk about our cars and what this kind of smoke does to our vehicles. We have Ken Wing, who is the inventor and CEO of CoverSeal, who is joining us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi there, and hope you all are having a good and hopefully well-breathed air.
Man, it's really tough. It is really tough. Not going to lie today. It doesn't matter where you are. You know that there is an issue with the air quality today. Tell me a little bit about your business. I think I have done business with your business before, but tell us a little bit about it.
We're growing. So CoverSeal was invented about 6 years ago. I couldn't find a really good solution for rodent problems that I was having with my cars. And all those noisemakers, the sprays, et cetera, weren't getting rid of them. I wanted a barrier that kept out the rodents from being in my car, my patio furniture, my barbecue, my truck, my tractor. And so we have sizes for all of these. Getting back to your smoke issue, though, that you're having, California had a good stint of smoke problems from the fires we had in Napa, and I was resident there for the last 40 years. The covers have a collateral benefit where they seal to the ground so they don't allow a lot of air in or ash. So one of the things that gets on your car is paint from the smoke, and you can see it especially if you have a black car or a nicely painted car. You'll see the residue of ash sitting on your car. Oh man, if that gets a little bit wet, it can start etching paint. It does bad things. So you want to keep it off your car. Get a car wash if you can, pretty routinely.
Yeah, I mean, how quickly can having this type of particulate on your car cause issues with the paint?
Pretty quickly. It's very alkaline based, and it's not natural stuff necessarily burning. So while they might be forest fires, they'll get tires, they'll get homes, and those outgas a lot of hydrocarbons, things that are heavier in the air, and then they land on your car and can do really bad things. They can create like an etch pattern across your car that looks, like it's been rusted. It can be really bad.
Wow. And so, I mean, what kind of protection? You mentioned the many different things that the seals that you have can protect a car from, but I mean, when you're dealing with something like this, obviously you've got to get to work. You've got to get to maybe your kids. Well, we're in summer camp. Maybe you're picking them up from summer camp or something like that. So you are going to and fro. I mean, if it's around for a day or two, is sealing it at night enough to prevent an issue?
That's a really good point. All right, so as much as many of us don't do this, getting a good coat of wax done in your car, you can go get it detailed, or if you're industrious, get a good ceramic wax and wash your car, wax it. It creates a really good barrier against nasties that can land, and that creates that sort of temporary barrier that once you cover it, because at night the air gets really still, so the particulate matter drops, and during the day you get more winds, and that takes the particulate matter off your car. But night is probably one of the worst, and it can actually get moist at night, which helps it adhere to the car. So get a good wax, wash your car more often than what you would normally do it, like every 3 days isn't a bad idea, or at least rinse it with a hose. That will be better than not doing anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Now tell me this, what about your actual car's system? If you do have it parked out for a while in this kind of air quality issue, I mean, is having it parked outside for the length of the day, possibly without the seal, is that enough to really do damage to the actual system in the car?
Not really, because cars are air breathing, and so they don't bring in the particulates until you actually start the car, and then it's sucking in some of the stuff. If you're going through really smoke-laden atmosphere, getting your car filter changed isn't a bad idea. Okay, that's that's better. Remember, you're getting stuff into your air cabin, so the filters that are in your engine compartment that filter the air that goes into your air cabin, those are a good thing to change after an episode like this, so those particulates don't remain in there and cycle through your air cabin while you're driving the car.
Generally speaking, how often should you be changing those?
Okay, most people don't do it until they go to one of those tune-up shops and stuff. Once a year is probably okay. You know, the good thing is you go to some of those shops and they show you a filter, and many of us don't know the difference between a good and bad filter. But if you pull it out and it still looks relatively clean, it probably is. Changing them once a year is really cost effective. They're not that expensive for those type of filters. But in this kind of environment, changing at least the cabin air filter is a good idea to do that after one of these episodes. It's full of all kinds of bad particulates, so that's a good thing to do. And when you're also parked outside, if you crack the windows like you normally do to get the heat out, well, that's also letting the smoke in. And if you seal them up, then all of a sudden your car gets hot. So it's like a catch-22. Putting in a good quality car cover, like some of the ones that we sell, they reflect about 95% of the sunlight, so it keeps the car cool even if you have the windows rolled up. Those are just a couple of things you can play with to kind of keep your car nice smelling and kind of get through these episodes.
Very interesting, indeed. Anything else that you are an electrical engineer, so you would see this from a different lens than most of us. So I'm like, what am I missing? I mean, what are some other things that we really should be cognizant of or thinking through during this time?
Okay, so here's the problem. I love cars, and I like restoring them, and I see all kinds of problems from cars that have been left outside. And I went to school in Arizona from electrical engineering, and that gets hot. So some of the heat problems you have to really kind of concern yourself with is your batteries can boil over. So if you don't have a sealed battery, you've got to check the electrolyte to make sure that the battery level is the right level, or you'll lose your battery. Your radiator fluid, okay, how many of us change the radiator fluid every 2 years? Probably very few. So you got to check your radiator fluid, top it off, or go into one of those tune-up shops and pay the couple $100 and they go through all your fluids. The interiors are especially prone. You can get up to 172 degrees in your car during a hot day. And that starts letting glues get soft, and your car is full of all kinds of glue and tapes and plastic fixtures and buttons that are plastic. Those can melt, the glues can give way, your headliner can drop, from the top of your car. The dash panel can curl up, from the heat. So your interior really takes a beating. Oh, God forbid you leave the 64 pack of crayons on your seat, right?
Oh my goodness.
From your kids, okay. My kids did that, and it became a collage, a kaleidoscope of color, put it that way. You got to check your tires too. So your tires can get overinflated in an environment like this, and that can cause a blowout. That's a danger thing that a lot of people don't look for. And a lot of people park under trees. They fight for that shade. Guess what? Trees in a hot episode drip sap, and then that gets on your car. It bakes on, and you want to talk about paint problems. If you don't have a good coat of wax, there you go.
Oh wow. I wouldn't have thought about the sap for sure. Definitely have thought about the crayons before. I'm sure you handled it cool, calm, and collected, though. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
Oh, it was a shock. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with us. Really appreciate it. I'm glad that you talked about the heat as well. What temperature do you think some of those issues start to become actual issues?
Well, especially on one of those windless days, anything around 85, if your car is sealed up, it starts getting really hot inside. God, the black interiors, they look great, but man, they start getting really frighteningly hot, to the point where don't wear shorts or you can burn some skin on the way in. So anything above 85 to 90, we all feel it. That's where he starts getting serious. And like down in Arizona, when we hit 100 or 100 plus, it gets dangerous.
Yeah. Well, we're in day 4 over 90, so that's kind of why I wanted to point that out. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I think you've given some great tips.
Well, have a great day and stay cool.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Same to you. It's just about 3:27, everyone. And again, our big story for the day has been this incredible, and I say incredible just from the mind-boggling, phenomena of having this Canadian wildfire smoke in our area and the many different ways that we're trying to deal with it. And, when I say deal with it, yes, our visitors are still out and about. We hope, if you didn't pack a mask, that maybe you just grab a towel, put it over your face for a bit if you're going to be out for a while, something to kind of blunt what we are experiencing outside. And if you have the ability to be inside for a bit, dip inside wherever you can. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to actually speak with a wildfire smoke researcher so we can delve a little bit deeper into what we're experiencing. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 3:30 here. I mentioned before we went to break that we were gearing up to hear from a wildfire smoke researcher. She's going to be joining us any minute now from the University of Colorado Boulder so that we can find out more information. She's actually speaking at a conference in Toronto today. Where do we say we're getting this smoke from? Canada. So one, we wanted to see what they're dealing with up there, and two, what she's been studying at UC Boulder. And so just as soon as she joins, we're going to bring her into the conversation. She has a wealth of information about wildfire smoke. But before she hops on the line, we're going to take a look at what's going on with the stock market today, just while we have a little time here and we're waiting. And you can see it is quite the mixed picture that we're looking at on your screen. The day not ending in the best of territory here today. So we're going to kind of peel back the layers and talk about where we go as President Trump is expected to make his big address this evening. And typically, you know, ahead and on the heels of a presidential address, the stock market does kind of go all over the place. But it looks here that the stocks fell today with a sell-off in technology stocks. stocks that overshadowed a pretty solid earnings report. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was talking about that earlier today, the new earnings report. That's something you'll probably hear President Trump tout this evening, is the new earnings report here. But the S&P 500 lost 0.5% today. The NASDAQ composite declined 1.47% today. And you can see here on your screen the Dow Jones at the end of the day shedding 105.67 points, which is about 0.2% today. Going back into the technology aspect of this, shares of Alphabet dropped more than 4% today. Company reportedly delaying releasing their AI model known as Gemini 3.5 Pro. Also, some other what they call the Magnificent Seven platforms that had some issues today: Meta, Nvidia, Amazon, all in the red today. So quite the mixed bag that we're looking at today for the stock market. But the latest economic data, kind of looping back around to that, showed U.S. consumer holdings up in the face of higher pricing pressure. That's been a big issue this year. Jobless claims for the week ending in July 11th, so last week, came in at seasonally adjusted 2008. That's lower than the 2018 or 218,000 expected by economists. So there's some improvement there. Retail sales are meeting expectation right now. They're actually up 0.2%. So again, at the end of today, not looking the best, but a mixed picture and pretty on par with what we've seen even yesterday. So, you know, through three major averages, all closing the day in negative territory, but some light in a mixed picture, be it that President Trump will likely be able to tout some economic wins as he prepares for this speech tonight that will be at 8 o'clock our time as well. So I think we're still waiting on our guest. Okay, still waiting on her to join, but her name is Dr. Colleen Reed. She is the director of the public health program there at UC Boulder. And one of the things that she said that I'll point out here before we get to her is that at the time, there was a sense, she's talking about doing some of the research that they did on wildfire smoke, which is why we called her into the conversation today. There was a sense that it was natural air pollution and that it was only short term. So it was not as much of a concern as pollution from things like factories. We talk about those all the time, you know, pollution from factories, refineries, vehicles. We were just having a conversation about what to do about your vehicle. She said, what we are realizing now, as these episodes of exposure become more frequent, so the last one we had around here was around 2023. And if you were listening to J.D. Rudd when we had him up here at the beginning of the hour, talk about the comparisons and the differences between what we experienced in 2023 versus what we're experiencing now. She says, as these become more frequent and last longer, you know, JD said there's a possibility that the wind could shift and we get more of this next week. But going back to Dr. Reed, she says, what they're realizing is that wildfire smoke can have measurable and potentially lasting health impacts. That's why we are going so hard on this information today, that it can have measurable and potentially lasting health impacts. So what we are seeing out there today is significant. We're not just saying it. You know, you might see a number and you think, oh, what does that have to deal with anything? That this is very significant. In fact, when they were looking at some of the data coming out of California, you know, the wildfires that we've watched out of Northern California at times, she said, would disregard above 400 micrograms per cubic meter. What have we seen in our area today? Over 700. Over 700. She says when they went over 400 micrograms, they assumed it was impossible. We're over 700 today. They thought the monitors were malfunctioning at one point when they got over 400. Now in some areas of the country, levels have reached the thousands during extreme wildfire smoke events near the fire. And think about how many miles away we are from the fire. And yet we are over 700 today. This is a lot that we are learning, a lot that we have to sift through in terms of information. Well, we've got, air quality to sift through today just to be able to see. But in terms of information, a lot of information to be able to sift through. So we just wanted to make sure we were calling on as many experts as possible to really make sense of it. For those of us who are, everyday citizens, and you just are like, what is this? And how do I prepare myself and get through this in the healthiest way possible? I do believe that Dr. Reed is here with us now. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, a few moments late.
Oh, it's quite all right, quite all right. We really appreciate your time, and I hear you're joining us from Toronto. So we are dealing with Canadian wildfire smoke in our area. What is it like up there?
Well, it's quite smoky up here. We can see sort of that orange sun, and it's quite hazy.
Mm-hmm. And how long is it expected to be like that there?
The forecast says that tomorrow it's supposed to get better.
Okay. Tell me about some of your research into wildfire smoke. Some of the things that you learned, that were surprising to you, or some of the things that you learned that really reinforced what you believed.
Well, my research has shown that wildfire smoke exposure is associated with a lot of respiratory impacts. So we notice that people have itchy or watery eyes, shortness of breath, cough, headaches, but also that there's an increased risk of being hospitalized or using the emergency room for asthma and other respiratory diseases.
Mm-hmm. And as you were learning, was any of that surprising to you?
No, it wasn't surprising to me. We know that these particles from other sources of combustion, such as vehicular emissions or industrial emissions, have these effects. So it's not surprising that wildfire smoke that produces particles as well would have similar effects on the respiratory system.
Mm-hmm. And when we say effects on the respiratory system, what do you liken the wildfire smoke to in terms of things that could give us issues to our respiratory system?
Well, so particles in the air that we're breathing in from wildfire smoke are actually about the same size as viruses. And so they're so small, they can get deep into our lungs, and they cause irritation and inflammation, and they can cause us to cough. But it can also, the inflammation can lead to problems for people who already have damage to their lungs from respiratory disease.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that you recommend, given the research that you've done, for people on days like what we're experiencing?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to stay inside as much as possible. The air should stay outside. Keep your windows closed and your doors closed. If you have to go outside, wear a tight-fitting mask, just like the ones we wore with COVID. But you want the ones that are N95, KN95, or KF94. Those are the ones that protect you from the air around you. So surgical masks don't do that because they don't create a tight seal that protects the air with those particles from getting in. Those really protect others from what you're breathing out.
Is it, I was reading a bit of the information, getting ready to speak to you about the research that you've done. And in speaking about getting these types of events more often and for them to last longer, tell me about what you all have seen in your research and, where you think we're going with this.
Yeah, so wildfires are becoming much more frequent and much more intense, and with that comes a lot of smoke. And we also have lots of areas that haven't really experienced smoke before, getting lots of smoke with this long-range transport of fire smoke across the continent. And so one thing that's really important is for people to take precautions, but also to stay with those precautions over time. I do want to mention, I mentioned the respiratory health. That's the key thing that we think of, but it actually, wildfire smoke can affect other parts of the body. There's increasing evidence that it can affect developing fetuses. They show that it's babies who gestate during the fire can be born earlier. And part of that is because when a person is pregnant, they breathe a lot more, so they could be getting a lot more of that smoke.
Wow.
So it's really important for people who are pregnant to take extra precautions. We also see these particles could affect people with cardiovascular disease, potentially causing heart attacks or strokes. And so anyone who has pre-existing health conditions needs to take these extra precautions, even if the smoke lasts for multiple days.
Wow, lots of great information there. Anything else that we should be keeping in mind that you found in your research that maybe we're just not aware of or not doing right?
I see a lot of people walking around Toronto today who are not taking precautions. I'm wearing a mask when I have to be outdoors. And so I think that's the key thing. We want people to look at the air quality index. When it says it's unhealthy, that means it's unhealthy for everyone. When it says it's hazardous, definitely get inside. I'd say that's the biggest thing that we need to do, is for people to take as many precautions as possible. If you don't think your home is adequately protecting you, there's other things that you could do. You could go to another indoor space that you might find might have good air cleaning processes for you.
And I want to, if we can, pull up the graphic that shows some of the numbers that we have for today. And I would love to get your take on seeing what we are dealing with here in our area. Oh, he took it down. So our Northbrook location is showing a 727 in terms of the AQI today. What is, for you to hear that, I mean, what goes through your mind?
Everyone needs to stay inside. Another thing I would say, back to something that people don't often remember to do, is that you have, hopefully in your home, you have a ventilation system that has a filter, say your heater or your air conditioner. That filter protects you from those particles by filtering them out before sending that air it's pulling from the outside in, but it gets filled. So you need to check it and replace it. And it gets filled much faster when the air quality is really bad. But that's a very high number. And I really hope that people are taking precautions, staying indoors as much as they can, and wearing a really good mask if they have to be outside.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your conference and be safe. 3:43, everyone, give us 2 minutes before we get into quite the head scratcher, but this doesn't have to do with the air quality. It's about a man who went to the wrong wedding. That's after this. welcome back, everyone. 346. We have got to talk to Darius Malone about how he ended up at the wrong wedding in Chicago. He is here with us right now to explain something that a lot of people online have been wondering. Inquiring minds would like to know, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. When was this wedding?
This wedding was earlier in June.
Mm-hmm. All right. And where?
It was in northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula. I was going to a long distance friend's wedding.
Okay. And so if it's your friend's wedding, you're kind of like know the crew, right? Like you've got other friends who are going to be there.
Yes, that's exactly the truth. Yes, I would know the crew, but it was an honest storm because none of our other friends were there from college. So I wouldn't know anyone there, which was normal. That wasn't aside from the norm. But it was when those doors opened, I was like, oh, I do not know her.
But you knew the bride that you expected to see.
Yes, I knew her. Yep. We went to college together.
Okay. And so the doors open, you see a woman that you don't know, and you're like the Southwest commercial, like want to get away.
Yes, my heart dropped. And at first my brain tried to protect me because I was like, for sure, knew I was at the right wedding. And then I had a moment where I just laughed because I had to ask myself, is this really happening to me? So then I had to dash because I realized, oh my God, I got to get to my friend's wedding.
Wait, so do you get up and walk out as this bride that you don't know is walking in?
I sure did. I sure did. I had to go. I was missing the moment where you walked down, she walked down the aisle, which I did miss, but I was there for everything else. But yeah.
Was it in the same venue?
It was actually at a different church. So this block had like multiple different churches. So when I like slid out the back exit, there was two women and they were like, I was like, yep, I'm at the wrong wedding. And I started pulling up the details again. And they were like, the church is literally at the end of the block. And so I walked over there expeditiously to get to my friend's wedding.
I'm so blown away. Okay, so you tell this story on TikTok, and what are people saying? I mean, did you do it in one episode, or did you have to do this like a 4-part series?
So I did it all. I did a story time in one episode, but I added a funny sound. The saxophone started playing really loud when I ended up at the wrong wedding, and so then thousands of people started commenting, laughing, saying, how did this happen? How did you not know? You didn't know the bride or the groom. You didn't have other people there. And then hundreds of people just started to share their own story of going to the wrong wedding, the wrong funeral, and hospital room, which was really enlightening to see as well. I didn't feel alone anymore.
Well, I think a funeral or a hospital room would be a little worse. Yeah. And so the lovely couple, when you told them what happened, what did they say? I mean, you went the extra mile, quite literally, to make sure you made it, at least for some part of their wedding.
They laughed and they honestly started sharing it with other guests at the wedding. It was the talk of the wedding for sure. People were coming up to me, asking me what happened. I was showing them the video. It was really funny. I think we all could make light of the situation, which I was really proud of. It made me feel like, okay, all wasn't bad.
Was the other bride at least really pretty?
She was pretty. They were pretty. I just was like, oh, I don't know her. I'm not here for her. They looked great. I was mingling. I was like, hello, how you doing? I'm Darius. Came from Chicago. And when they opened those doors, I said, oh, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Wow. Any learning lessons from all of this?
Yes, absolutely. I think the learning lesson for everyone is that this is just something that's human in life. We all have ended up in a place where we've been like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, but it's about what we can take from that situation, being able to give ourselves grace. If there are any brides or grooms or anyone planning a wedding, please have a sign. this wedding is for such and such. So that would stop people like me from crashing your wedding. But if you want wedding crashers, I can still make that happen.
Well, now you're a professional wedding crasher. Yeah, you know how to make it happen. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry that happened to you. Have people been at least nice online?
Yes, people have been great. There have been hundreds of comments about their own experience. People are just curious, if anything. I think that it resonates with people because it's really an honest mistake. And like I said earlier, we all have made those mistakes where we have a split second where we're like, I'm not supposed to be here. But I think the joy is in being able to connect about this and laugh. And I think that if I can do that, then it's a win for me.
Yeah, we're all human. We all make mistakes. It all is well that ends well. And so your friends are married, and at least you finally made it to their wedding. And you weren't supposed to be a groomsman or anything at the front.
Absolutely. Sometimes going to the wrong location can still get you to the right place.
You better preach. Okay. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. All right, everybody. It's 3:53. I have a little announcement to make on the opposite side of this break. So give us 2 minutes and then we'll chat. All right, everybody, it's 3:55, so we've got about 4 minutes left before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock news. And boy, has it been a joy for me to be the host here of Chicago Live for about the last year. We're coming up on a year. It's gone by so fast, but next week I'm going to be moving this. So instead of saying we'll turn things over to the 4 o'clock news, I'll actually be on the 4 o'clock news. So I'm super excited about the next opportunity here at Fox Chicago. I'll be on the 4 o'clock. I will see everyone at 6:30 for Chicago Report, and then we'll end the night with the 9 o'clock news each and every weekday. It has been a joy, though, to just sit here and have conversations with so many people day in and day out. This is a very special show. A very special concept, trying to meet people where they are in terms of just a changing landscape and wanting to meet the moment as a station. And I believe that we've done that, and so we're going to keep doing that. And so you'll see less of me in this space, but you can see me in those time periods. So starting next week, you've already kind of seen the people who you're going to be seeing more of already. Both Jake Hamilton and Casey Cronus will be the co co-host of Chicago Live moving forward. I am super excited for them and for all of you. The conversations are going to keep going. We have fantastic producers who are going to keep booking great guests here on the show day in and day out. I am confident of that. But I just wanted to make sure that you all knew you all are eagle-eyed. And so immediately when we started kind of shifting things, I was already getting some messages from people like, well, what's going on? What's going on? So we wanted to make sure that we took a couple of minutes today just to be very clear. I'm not leaving the station. Just leaving this time period up to some fantastic hosts and producers who are going to move this forward and do some new and cool and great things in the months and years to come. And I hope to do the same in the new time periods again at 4 p.m. starting next week, and also at 6:30 for the Chicago Report, and then ending the night at 9 p.m. Again, it's been a joy here on Chicago Live. Continue to support it, and I hope that you'll just keep right where you are so that when the 4 o'clock news rolls around, when Jake or Casey says, here's what's coming up at 4 o'clock, I'll be right there bringing you through the rest of the evening. Thanks so much for your time here today. Please be safe. Just to kind of wrap up our conversations for the day and the big conversation for today, this air quality issue that we are dealing with today is very serious, and we know that we are expecting this to linger for a bit longer, so pull out those masks that I know, got so tired of years ago, but pull them out. It's just a few days that we're trying to get through this air quality issue that definitely has become more serious by the hour, quite frankly, here in our area and well beyond. We'll get through it together, and then we'll be talking about all new things by next week. Stay right where you are. The 4 o'clock news is coming up with Terrence Lee right after this.
From Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Well, let me tell you, it is rough out there.